Right then, the business and consumer expert, Kate Hardcastle, joins us. Good morning to you, Kate.
Hi, Jason.
Good morning. Good to have you. So what is going on out there? I was just reading last week in one of the papers, they picked on coffee. Instant coffee had gone up like 60%. What's this all about?
So the challenge is that there's been this perfect storm of issues for a lot of suppliers. They've had rising prices themselves. They're struggling to get hold of materials at the same cost. They've had to deal with fuel increases in terms of the energy that they pay for warehousing and distribution. They're facing the same type of crisis that we are. And they have to try and work out how they're going to manufacture for the same type of price point, and indeed then negotiate with the retailers, the supermarkets we generally buy for, in terms of what they're going to pay for it. The supermarkets then pass on the products to us, and they've got a challenge. Do they try and swallow up those prices? Do they try and do offers on other products to try and make themselves look more valuable? Or indeed, are we, the consumers, going to have to face that price increase?
Okay.
And over years, very, very simply, we've been the beneficial party, if you like, in all of this, in that a lot of the supermarkets have been in price wars. They've been doing everything they can to stay competitive. We've not felt that pinch. But they did start warning at the end of last year that that wasn't a realistic scenario anymore, and indeed that we would start to see price increases. And oh my goodness, have we? And the thing is, as you've mentioned right at the start of this, Jason, for a lot of families, particularly in these winter months straight after Christmas, where we might have spent a bit more, the most essential elements are on the increase. Food and fuel and energy. Those are three main component parts for us all getting by each week. So it's a huge impact for a lot of families. It's a very challenging scenario. And whilst there are things that can be done about it, it really does break your heart when you think about how families are struggling.
Okay, let's just zoom in on supermarkets then, shall we? So are we saying then, because the German discounters have been doing so well over the past couple of years and helping so many people out, are we saying that these price hikes are affecting everybody, from the big boys like your Tesco's and your Waitrose and your Sainsbury's right down to your Aldi's and your Lidl's?
Yeah, you're going to see slight price increases, and we've seen that on the most basic of elements like milk, etc., because they'll try and hold on to those. There are certain items that a supermarket are going to try and do their absolute best to keep at a price that you recognise, because they want to make sure that when you come into the store, you're seeing those prices and they feel roughly consistent. But, you know, milk has seen that pinch. And then there's the other items. It might be, for instance, snacks, which we know snacks have had, savoury snacks have seen a really big increase in basket spend. You know, that they've gone up in terms of price hugely. They're in a lot of people's baskets, where you just can't do anything about it. All of the stores will be putting the prices up. What's happened is the German discounters have put a massive amount of pressure on our big four supermarkets to stay competitive. And that's why there's been these price wars, which we as the consumers have generally benefited for. We've shopped around, but that's just not the case anymore. A lot of these main basket components, the things you and I put in our weekly basket, we're going to start seeing those increases if we haven't already.
So this is very serious because, you know, according to the Trussell Trust, they run food banks. 2.5 million food parcels were handed out last year in the UK. There were 146,000 in Wales. That was last year, before we've seen these price increases. Therefore, there will be people living in our communities right now, people listening to this programme, our hearts go out to them. There will be people clearly being affected and very worried about how they're putting food on the table.
Completely, already so. And I just can't even tell you, as well as the financial element, the emotional strain it is to live in a family where you have got those pressures, and what it's like to literally be adding up when you're going around the supermarket to make sure you don't overspend even by a penny, because you just can't afford to. Putting things back. I've experienced this as a child myself. You know, it's just such an awful experience, because, you need that food to survive. And we've got people making choices about whether they go and approach food banks, which there are some great charities in the UK. We also have organisations that are trying to reach out to people, but it's a big step, just even taking a step to realise you need that support. What I will say, Jason, is we have a huge food waste issue in this country as well. 60% of food is generally wasted. And when we look to our government to try and support these families, support these services, support these charities that are helping with food packages, one of the questions you might start to ask is, in the bigger picture, what can we do to effectively use that consumable waste? Because that food, that 60% of food, most of it is consumable still, to make sure that we actually do right for the planet and do right for ourselves and actually get much more use out of our food, so we don't end up in these situations. I think It's about the government investing in things that are smarter as well as the immediacy of what we need right now.
Very good to talk to you as ever. Thank you so much. That's Kate Hardcastle, business and consumer expert.